When we first started looking at verbs, we learned that there were a couple different aspects to them, including number, person, tense, mood, and voice. Today we're going to take a look at tense and introduce one of the past tense verbs in Latin. When we learned the present tense, we learned that there were set endings for them, including the O, S, T, MUS, TIS, and NT endings. When we add these to the stem, they indicate that a verb is in the present tense. We need to go back and look at how we made those verbs in order to move on. We start with the first two principal parts of the verb. And from there, we're going to be able to take the stem, and we'll be able to find the connecting vowel, and then we'll add on to that the personal ending that represents the tense and who's doing the action. So to make a present tense verb, we take the stem which is everything before the infinitive ending, the connecting vowel, which is right here in this conjugation, and then tack on the ending to indicate who's doing the action. So in this verb, it is he, she, or it loves. When we move on to the imperfect tense today, which will be our past tense verb, we're going to drop that T and add a new ending. And that new ending will look like this, bot. Take a second to look and see what changes may have occurred. If you saw that the BA has been added before the ending, then you're on the right track. The imperfect tense is one of our past tense verbs in Latin, and it expresses an incomplete, a continual, or a habitual action in the past. And we have a couple different ways to translate this verb. We can translate it as was verbing, used to verb, kept on verbing, or verbed. And it's going to be identified by a new set of endings: bom, bas, bot, bamus, batis, bont. If you take a look, it really is the same as what we saw for the present, except we're adding in the letters BA. Here we've replaced the M for O, so bom. We have the S, T, mus, tis, int. We're just adding the BA in front of it. And this BA is going to help us to identify the imperfect tense. Take a look at the difference between the present and the imperfect verbs next to each other. Current here was our present tense verb, because we're just using the personal ending T. We have different ways of translating this. He runs, he is running, he does run. But the imperfect verb here, we now have the BA in front of our personal ending to indicate the past tense. We can translate this as he was running, he used to run, he kept on running, or he ran. And it's very important to note, guys, that BA is going to let you identify an imperfect tense verb. As soon as you see that BA, identify it with was. And I've always used that A in ba to help me remember was, W-A-S. When we take a look at the verbs, we still want to use our first two principal parts, stem, connecting vowel, ending, to create the verb. And we have our ma, bot down here. If we move that over, I want you guys to take a look at the connecting vowels that are used for the imperfect. It's a little different in the third and the fourth conjugation. We now use an E and an IE down here, so it's important to note that change. All of our imperfect verbs follow that pattern. However, there are a couple irregular verbs, and sum happens to be one of the biggest ones. Sum is irregular because its stems are continually irregular, and the imperfect stem for sum is ER. If we were to take our imperfect ending bom, bom is difficult to pronounce. And what happened was, if we drop that B off, blend them together, we now have our past form of to be. And this here would mean I was. So if we take a look at our change, we have I was, you were, he, she, or it was, we were, you all were, and they were. So it's still the same ending, just we've gotten rid of the B between the stem and the ending. When we want to go to the verb I am able, we're going to follow the same pattern as we did before and use the post or the pot prefix. Here we'll use pot because they all begin with the letter E. So now we're left with poteram, I was able, you were able, he, she, or it was able, we are able, y'all are able, they are able. Okay, so just to recap, the imperfect verb is a continual, repetitive, or not finished action in the past. It can translate as was verbing, used to verb, kept on verbing, or verbed.